I'm just so curious, man, to just hear about like your process of creating content and even getting to that level where it's like it seems prepared and authentic and organic at the same time, which is like a crazy thing to be able to achieve, right?
So there's a lot to unpack here. First off, I very early on had a realization around content that all content would eventually be creatable by AI, written content. That, and this is like, in 2020 before now it feels like, oh shit, yeah, it's all really happening.
Yeah.
But very early on, I started thinking like, a lot of the things you're writing, your original thoughts cannot maybe be reproduced by an AI immediately, maybe eventually when it has like real, human intelligence, but a lot of it can be at least like somewhat closely written. And so what I learned early on and what I thought about early on was like, I need to develop a relationship with the people that are following me. This needs to feel like a human connection, one-to-one, like I'm writing for them. And the way that happens, and what I understood and what I still believe, is that it's through personality. Because a human personality sitting behind that face and that avatar on Twitter or on a newsletter or on YouTube, whatever, is really, really important that you feel that connection with someone. Because there's all these faceless accounts, right, that put out this like garbage, oh, here are the Chrome extensions or here are the psychological hacks or whatever. And they're faceless accounts. I don't know if they have bots retweeting them or whatever the game is that they're playing with the like, engagement hacking. And there's a lot of people who are doing that too, by the way. And if there's no personality, how loose that connection is with your follower, it's going to show in the long run. Like you might have the numbers and the vanity metrics, but people don't give a shit about what you're saying. And like when you go say something that you're doing that's not a thread about X, Y, or Z, they're just not going to be there because there's no relationship, there's no connection. And so I thought about that very early on when I was starting to build. I was like, I really need to make sure that I'm developing that connection, both through engaging with people and actually like really like responding to DMs. I've had my DMs open forever for that reason, replying to people that reply to my tweets. And then through the content, through having personality behind it, through having it feel like a real person that's authentic and that's experiencing the struggle in the same way that they are, right? Like my goal always has been, I don't want to be a teacher. Like I don't want to be teaching anyone anything because I don't feel that way. I'm a student alongside you in all of this. And so when I'm sharing things, it's because it's stuff that I'm wrestling with in real time. When I'm talking about wrestling with time and the challenges of time management or the challenges of, your parents getting older, relationships with your kids, that's literally stuff I'm experiencing on a day-to-day basis and feeling. And now I'm sharing it. And I have a platform where now I can share those things that I know if I'm experiencing them, millions of other people are. And so I can reach people with that. But that human connection and that personality connection was like, so tied in from the get-go to what I was trying to build. And it started with Twitter and then it extended to newsletter. Now I'm extending it into video content with Instagram and, YouTube soon. But that is really, really important. And that's central to how I've thought about it. And if anyone is getting started today, I would encourage you to separate that from the vanity metrics of follower growth, because what you'll learn over the coming years is the people that have like built follower accounts just for the sake of follower accounts, they're not going to have a good time with it in terms of getting to the ends that they were trying to get to. It's just a very, very loose connection and it's not there. And so like all of these threads that, like people that are really trying to write great content, that really care about the content they're putting out, they're not sharing like, here are 10 YouTube channels that'll change your life, right? I've seen that thread 8,000 times. I mute every single person that does it now. The first time I see someone put one of those out, I just mute it because I'm like, you're just playing a hack. It's just a growth. You're just playing a game now. Podcast, Chrome extensions. Like people are just playing the game because they've seen it and they're trying to fast follow on to get a bunch of followers. But that's not how you play these infinite games. Like the infinite games are from writing about things you actually care about and that you deeply care about. And so other people eventually will come to you. Should you hustle for distribution and try to like have a collective of people that'll support you in those early days to get your ideas out there? Absolutely. Like I'm not negating that at all. But write about things you care about, and that shows, and that connection builds over time. It might be slower than you want. You might grow at a trickle pace compared to the guy that's doing the like growth hacking, but in the long run, that's what matters.
I'm thinking about, this is always where my mind goes with stuff like this, because I think it's such a great point of like, it's this weird combination in life where you have to be almost like patient and impatient at the same time. You need the urgency of being impatient, but you need kind of what you're talking about with infinite games, that you can have that mindset where it's like, Because let's be real, like when you don't have followers and you're seeing the guy do the
Oh, it
10
sucks.
YouTube channels
Oh, it sucks.
and he's blowing up, you're like, I
Yeah,
need
what
to
the
do,
hell?
yeah, I need
Yeah,
to
and
do
you're
the 10
pissed. You're like,
YouTube
oh,
channels.
this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I totally get
Yeah.
it, man. I totally get it. And the draw towards it is very strong. That's why I say it. It's like that's why I'm saying this message is because I think it's important that people know, like, that's not the game you want to start getting into. And honestly, the people you care about that you want to see your stuff and say like, wow, that's really good, they're not seeing those YouTube threads and saying that. The people that you care about, like the legit people that you really are trying to attract into your universe, are not. They're cringing at that kind of stuff, right? Like it's the type of stuff that is like not creating the growth that you want. And so it's really important. To your quote or that you just said about like the patience idea, Naval said that best. He said you have to be impatient with actions, so hustling every single day, impatient with actions, but patient with results. So you have to be hustling on a daily basis, but then patience around those long-term compounding things that you're doing. And look, for me, like I didn't have some viral hack that got me to where I am on any of this. Like if you go back and look, my growth, I don't think I've ever had a single thread get me over 10,000 followers. My growth to where I am today has literally been because I've posted at least one thread a week for 125 straight weeks, something like that. Every single week without fail during that entire period, holidays, days off, whatever, like every single week for that whole time. Most of them were probably like, they probably got me like 1,000 or 2,000 followers. I didn't do some engagement hack, thread that got me 20, 30,000 followers. I've seen people do that. That's great. And like, I'm happy for them. And I hope that I'm super positive. Like I hope it leads to what they want. I don't think so. If you play that game over a long time, every now and then, you want to do it. Sure. Go for it. But like Morgan Housel has said this best. It's like, write about things you actually care about. Stop playing into the algorithm. Stop like just playing into the nonsense that gets kind of like shared around out there. Just write about things you care about and you'll attract people that care about the same things you do.